Hey folks, I wanted to share like a fun project that I built over the weekend with you all. I think I was just trying to learn how to tinker with the local LLMs, but also the other purpose was to actually use Postman for some of the fun projects and just like learn more about the product in general. So yeah, hopefully this gives you some inspiration to build something on your own as well. So the idea was pretty simple. I wanted to build like a personal inventory assistant. Um, and I've used basically Claude, Cursor AI, Olama with Google's Schema 2 model, and obviously Postman, like I said. So every time I say I built it, I give the entire credit to Cursor AI and Claude for basically coding everything. I do understand coding a little bit and it does help, but I don't think anybody really needs to know the code anymore. Yeah, it just does the job for you. Anyway, so the concept was pretty simple. I wanted to create a system that allows me to basically input unstructured data about my inventory using plain text files. It can be txt or .md, right? So for example, let's say that I'm purchasing something new and then I want to like take some unstructured notes on the fly about it. So I can mention what have I bought, where did I buy it from, how much did it cost me, the warranty details, the support number, and any additional information that you think is important for you in the future, right? Second thing, I wanted to ask a query about my data using natural language, just like you would ask, ChatGPT basically. An example would be how much I paid for, the thing that I bought, or who was the sales executive assistant that I spoke with, or that helped me get a discount, right? And as an output, obviously, I wanted the exact answer to my question, right? Now, the requirement here was that I wanted to limit um, LLMs to use the data that I am giving as an input, and I never wanted a generic information about something. So in this particular example, I do not want a generic example of MacBook or Apple company or M1 processor. I want a specific information about the MacBook that I purchased and that I've added notes about, right? So how I basically went about that was I have this basically a database file, and in the config, as you can see, this is my LLM model that I'm using, which is Schema 2. This is basically my system prompt that I've added over here. And I've basically wrote in the same thing that, hey, you only refer to the items which are present in the context, which are basically my plain text notes in here, which you can see. Yeah, so these are all the different MD files which are just like created as an example over here. And I can see it includes like a different random things like microwaves, diary sets, I don't know, protein shakes for all I care, Kindle items, clothing, backpacks, whatever you want, basically, right? And I want this to be my database, and I ideally want to add this files in the simplest way possible, right? Um, and so then basically just I just started building like the UI for it. So first I will show you how I built the system, what the system actually does, and in as I went ahead and started building more features into it, how did I come across or how did I felt the need to use Postman at certain point, which surprisingly did not happen at all during the initial stage, right? So I'm just gonna jump straight into the app. So this is basically personal inventory assistant, plain and simple. It's just like a query box. And right now I'm not showcasing how to add notes because I had already added like a bunch of MD files like I showed you. So let's start with a simple who are you? We'll ask the LLM what's happening. So yeah, it responds and says, "Hey, I'm Dummy, your personal inventory assistant. How can I help you today?" Right? So now we can start asking questions about like which phone do I own, right? And we'll just search for that particular information, right? And it'll say you own an iPhone 15 Pro, and let's ask about did I do any repairs on my iPhone? So I'll say, hey, you replace the screen on so and so date, and let me know if there is anything else that you need. And then what else? Like this, let's ask about like how many backpacks do I own, and where did I purchase my backpacks from? Interesting. It kind of failed, but yeah. What else? Which do I have any LG appliances? Perfect, right? So yeah, this gives you an idea basically. So now all of this was basically done, and I had created everything. Everything was working fine, and now I wanted to figure out um, how should I add my notes into this particular system, right? How will the notes actually enter this particular folder, right? And for that, I did not want to spend a lot of time in building the UI per se. I just wanted to understand if I can build the functionality, at least in the backend, and then I would figure out the front end later, right? And this is exactly when I started feeling need for using basically something like Postman, because the code was obviously sort of generated using obviously AI over here. So which is like you can see these are my endpoints. This is API node slash add, and it will basically add the nodes, etc., etc. And then also like did like a fun little thing to basically generate a title using LLM in case I do not provide any title. It will understand the context and basically generate the appropriate title for it, right? So now I've written everything down, and I needed a way to kind of test my functionality, and that's when basically I just like opened up Postman actually for the first time in this project and just started spinning up this new endpoint. Added my base URL over here, and just tried to basically hit the add endpoint for my nodes, right? And now we'll just basically copy the original example from here, and this is how basically I'm adding new things over here, right? I'm not providing any title at the moment, and I'm going to just say send. Hopefully this works. Yeah, perfect. So this is MacBook M1 purchase. It's automatically generated title using LLM. Let's check if it is actually added to my notes or not. And yeah, perfect. So now here's the file, right? So we can now go and test and see uh, which MacBook do I own. You just bought a MacBook M1. Um, I think it's also being smart and checking the dates when we have basically added the notes in the background, and that is probably where the just sort of comes into the communication over here. So now we can say what is the name of the sales executive at who sold me MacBook. Let's see if it answers that question. Yeah, perfect. So the sales executive helped you get the MacBook was Vishal, and that's basically what is actually mentioned here, right? So yeah, this is basically how I like sort of tinkered, with this particular endpoint. I just tried to figure out uh, if the title that is being generated is accurate or not. And I think there was like a lot of tweaking that was required to generate the title. It is still not perfect, but as you can see somewhere here. So this is basically my generate title, and I just had to reiterate on the prompt that I'm writing, give it like lots of examples just to ensure that it follows like certain conditions, etc. It still fails when I'm giving like multiple categories of the product. Like it can be like diary to washing machines to phone to whatever else, right? It still fails, but that's how sort of Postman helped me understand what is really working in the background and if the output is as expected or not. And that's how I kept iterating on it. And then eventually, when I found like a partial success in it, I sort of like kind of put a hold on to this project. But yeah, this is basically what I built. Um, Dummy. And then small little features that you might see over here is that this recent 4 or 5 sort of questions will come here, and then when I press the tab, it automatically takes the focus onto this. And when I actually type something here and I press enter, I the loader sort of comes here. There is sort of automatic like hover effect. All of this is just done using plain English. I've just used Tailwind CSS in the background so that everything looks nice and clean. Um, and yeah, this is basically what I ended up building. So hopefully you folks like it. Let me know if you have any questions. I've also added this particular project into our design at Postman workspace. And I have uploaded the code to the GitHub as well in case anybody wants to tinker with this. Let me know and I can add you to that particular private repo as well. So yeah, thanks for watching.